Hello everybody. Welcome to this month's issue of Marlborough magazine. I'm Susan Loffer, here by myself because Dan ran out on me. I'm hosting alone, and I will do my best to fill his big shoes. Our first story this issue has to do with the Citizens Scholarship Foundation, one of the most successful fundraising organizations here in Marlborough, which I'm very proud to be a part of. Marlborough Magazine's Sophie Burke is here with the story.
An education may be priceless, but if young people can't afford it, the cost to society could be steep.
The more uneducated, uneligible workers that we have, the less money there is in the federal government, in the state government, in Social Security, because they are the future.
Unfortunately, a college education is becoming more difficult for today's young people to attain.
It's going to be really hard to find the money that, one needs to pay for this college education.
I'm currently working to get scholarships and stuff because none of my schools offer merit-based financial aid.
The cost of college education, it's extraordinary. I'm trying to think of, the cost of today versus 15 years ago. I'm trying to think of, in reality, you could easily say from 15 years ago, I'm sure costs have easily doubled. Easily, they've gone up.
Here in Marlborough, where 65 to 70% of high school graduates aim for college each fall, a grassroots organization called the Citizens Scholarship Foundation, or CSF, has been working hard to help Marlborough youngsters reach their dreams.
To this point, we've given close to $500,000 away since the inception of Citizens Scholarship Foundation.
Fundraising events such as the Scholar Bee and golf tournaments have become popular social events in the community.
The Scholar Bee is a really good fundraiser for us. The golf tournament is a very good fundraiser. There are two huge fundraising events. And then we also do the dance that we have and some other, minor fundraiser kinds of things.
Each year, CSF raises about $20,000 to give away in scholarships. The money that is not raised through fundraising events is obtained through endowed scholarships.
CSF provides, I think last year we counted 20 separate scholarships to at least one student, in some cases 3 and 4 students under each category, and has really done an outstanding job through the years and continues to do an outstanding job of both helping these kids in dealing with their college expenses and also for being a source of esteem, really boosting their esteem in preparation for college.
City Councilor Maureen Navin Webster was once a winner of a CSF scholarship.
It was one of those feelings that it was great. It was accomplishment. It was, all that pride that I have in the community was it all came together that day.
Although the scholarship she won in 1995 wasn't enough to pay all her college expenses at George Washington University, it did have a profound effect on her life.
I was able to go to GW. I was very fortunate that I was able to go down to DC and study what I wanted to study and pursue not only the academic field I wanted to, but I could do the extracurriculars down there, interning in Congress and not having to necessarily panic about, book money. That was what it was for me, specifically with the CSF scholarship, is I sort of earmarked it, and that's how I got my books. So the first couple of semesters, I was able to intern on Capitol Hill. And that, for me, set me in the direction where I wanted to go. Now, I worked every other semester, but it really enabled me to kind of get the start in the career path that I was interested in pursuing at that time.
The scholarships that CSF distributes range from $500 to $1,000 each. And although that seems like a drop in the bucket when you think about today's college tuitions, it still helps.
So I see a group like CSF as being that resource that contributes $500, $1,000 to them to really help out, at those moments, especially at moments that maybe it doesn't cover, their tuition, but living on college, when you're there for weekend expenses, for coming up with an extra book that you need, that really makes a big difference.
Although the Citizens Scholarship Foundation in Marlborough began by helping college-bound seniors go to college, it's since expanded its mission to helping people who are interested in going to school later in life, as well as to younger children whose families need help paying for a summer enrichment camp.
A lot of people are finding they really do need some type of retraining to maintain their jobs or to, find something better or finish up. A lot of people didn't quite finish a degree and really would like to do that. So,
Right.
that if we can get those people, that's relevant too. Who's going to give them a scholarship?
For applicants, the scholarship process begins in March when they pick up a scholarship application at a local high school, Marlborough Public Library. There's an April 1st deadline for the financial part of the application and an April 15th deadline for the written part. The whole process culminates in June with the award ceremony.
When we have that award ceremony, and especially, since, my profession is teaching, to see kids come up and they're students I've known, because almost every child in Marlborough comes through, the middle school level, and they're so excited, and they're telling us where they're going to college and what they're going to major in, and most of the time the kids they just look so grown up all of a sudden, or the ones that come back from college, and they're appreciative, and they're talking about their job plans and how much they like it. It's great.
It's a great feeling, and everybody has that feeling of accomplishment. When awards night, you can go there and you can see the kids receive these awards, and you see people and they tell you how their young kids are doing and how much their scholarship helps.
Although the CSF has been thriving since it started in Marlborough in 1989, getting new volunteers is crucial to the group's continued success.
Yes, we're always looking for new members. We meet the first Wednesday of every month in the Marlborough High School library at 7 o'clock.
Definitely getting new members to come up with new ideas, to add, more hands to the pot to work on, and maybe also to have more connections with people who may sponsor something, who may want to endow.
Right. If today's education spending trends continue, it looks like Marlborough's would-be students will be needing the Citizens Scholarship Foundation's help for a long time to come. For Marlborough Magazine, I'm Sophie Burke.
Thanks, Sophie. I hope you can all join CSF for its next event, April 14th, our annual Spelling Bee, held at the Fieldhouse at Marlborough High School at 7 o'clock. Come on down for some spelling fun. Recently at the high school, they held their annual science fair. Marlborough Magazine headed down to the field to see what these aspiring scientists and inventors came up with.
The annual Marlborough High School Science Fair took place in the Fieldhouse at Marlborough High School a day late due to, you guessed it, a snow day. That didn't stop these future great minds from getting excited and ready for this important event.
The importance of having a science fair, number one, it comes down to kids should be doing science. We hear a lot about kids sitting in a classroom being passive learners. This is a prime opportunity for all of our students to be active learners. And it matches up with our Massachusetts science frameworks. It's things that good educators say should be happening. And the 14, 15 teachers in the science department have jumped on board with this. And we require a project from every student taking a science class at Marlborough High School.
Different kids will take different experiences away from this annual event. To some, winning and moving on to other fairs is important. To others, it's so much more than just about science.
Just coming down, setting up their board, and talking about the science that they've done to 3 strangers is a huge step for some of these kids. So we always talk about the science piece of it, but there's so much more than just science going into these projects. Some of the boards, if people have seen them, they'll see that there's some great artwork that's being done, some great computer work that's being done by setting up graphs and tables and such. There's the research piece or the procedures, their conclusions. They have to be written in good, strong English sentences. So there's a lot of other departments that play a role in our science fair.
This year's first place winners were Kim Farrell and Caitlin Sullivan for Honey, I Shrunk the Planaria, and Michelle Hannafin, Charlie Cox, and Mike Sciore for Soundproofing. M8 and Marlborough Magazine would like to congratulate for their hard work in making the 2005 Science Fair a success. For Marlborough Magazine, I'm Dan Ginden.
Well, burning season is here again and runs through the month of May. Recently, Sophie Burke headed down to the Marlborough Fire Department to get a demonstration on what is allowed this season.
During open burning season in Marlborough, which runs from January 15th to May 1st, you're allowed to clear your yard of garden debris by burning it, but not before you follow a few simple procedures. Mark Asenko and Ron Ayotte of the Marlborough Fire Department recently explained to Marlborough Magazine what residents need to do.
The first thing that someone wants to do if they want to burn in the city of Marlborough, they have to acquire a burning permit. That is available at fire headquarters Monday through Friday from 9 to 12 and from 1 to 4, and on weekends from 9 to 12. There's a $10 fee for the permit this year.
The permit to burn during open burning season also comes into play when you want to actually light your fire. Before you do that, you need to call the number for Marlborough Fire Dispatch, which is printed on your permit.
You have to call and first of all see if we're allowing burning that day. Of course, it's obvious if it's a windy day, we're not going to be allowing burning. If it's a very rainy day, some people do try and burn in the rain. Not practical, but you have to call to activate the permit.
Once the permit and permit activation are done, there are guidelines and tips for burning which are important for any would-be burner to follow.
Before you do anything, you have to make sure your brush pile is in the proper location. Now, looking at the location here, we have a pile of brush here, we've got a stream nearby. It looks perfect, doesn't it? But if we look over here, we find the person's garage. According to the guideline, the garage is too close to where the brush pile is. We're concerned about firefighters' safety and safety of the structure. So the first thing you want to do is make sure your brush pile is in a safe location away from anything that can burn, which means your house, your garage, your shed.
Residents who wish to burn also need to make sure that the contents of their burn pile are legal.
What's legal to burn is you can burn brush, you can't burn any leaves, you can't burn any construction material.
There are some people that try and get rid of their leaves by piling all the leaves under the brush pile and trying to burn it, or they will take the bag of garbage and throw it inside the pile. When brush is burning, it usually generates a very light gray smoke. Anything with heavy black smoke is going to be suspect, and you'll probably be getting a visit from the fire department.
Now that you've got your brush pile in the proper location with the proper contents, you can start to prepare it for burning. An easy way to get a fire started is to use newspaper.
You want to start with utilizing newspaper that you have here, that we have here, and putting it deep into the brush pile. You don't want to leave it on, just put it on top. You want to put it deep into it. So basically what you want to do is you want to come over here, take some paper, get it in.
It up nice.
Yep, get it in deep. Keeping in mind you want to wear gloves so you don't scratch and cut your hands as well. Want it up really nice, get it in nice and deep.
The second step in preparing your brush pile is to clear the area around it.
So you want to rake the leaves away from the pile. What we'd like to see is bare ground around it, so the fire doesn't spread from the brush pile to the leaves to other areas that we don't want to catch fire. So we'd like to clear the leaves away.
Now that your brush pile is ready, you need one more thing at your side before you're ready to ignite. A method of extinguishment, such as a garden hose or fire extinguisher, is crucial.
When you're connecting your garden hose for use to control a fire at a brush fire, because it is required by permit, you have to have a method of extinguishment nearby. Please be sure to turn on the garden hose at the inside connections. A lot of people shut their faucets off in the wintertime and forget to turn them on. A lot of people shut their water off in the wintertime so their pipes won't freeze. If you do turn the water on, make sure that you drain the hose afterwards and make sure the faucet is drained before shutting everything down.
Finally, you're ready to light your brush pile. Residents can start burning their brush anytime before noon, but it has to be extinguished by 4 p.m.
Once you start your brush pile, you cannot leave it unattended. Most people have the problems with, they have their brush pile, they start their fire going, and then they get a phone call, or, oh geez, it's lunchtime, I'm gonna go in and make a sandwich. And they completely forget about their brush pile outside. Or they go inside, they take the phone call, oh, I'm gonna check my email on my computer. Meanwhile, the fire is still burning on the outside, and if any wind kicks up, it could cause problems.
Burning your yard debris is a convenient way to clear your space for the upcoming season of gardening, sports, and barbecuing. But while you're thinking about all the fun you'll have on your nice cleared property in the spring and summer, remember to follow the rules and heed Captain Ayotte and firefighter Asenko's advice.
Burn responsibly.
Burn responsibly, right.
From Marlborough Magazine, I'm Sophie Burke.
The Roman Haas Company of Marlborough set up a web chat for some lucky high school students. Who did they chat with? Here's Dan Ginden with the story.
Recently, students from Marlborough High School had the unique opportunity to talk with soldiers of the Massachusetts National Guard stationed in Iraq. The hour-long webcast, conducted with technology provided by the Roman Haas Company, was the first of its kind. It was the first time ever for a classroom to talk to a combat unit while still in combat.
I told my kids on the way home that I had never been so proud of my entire life because of the outstanding work that they did this morning.
Mark Vital is an English teacher at Marlborough High School. He started communicating with the combat troops last year through email and decided to turn it into a class project. Superintendent Rosemary Boniface thought it was a great idea for these students.
I think it's a fabulous opportunity for the kids to be involved in an activity that was really generated out of the technology that they had, being able to email the soldiers, obviously, and develop a relationship, but then really to get connected to the people that had faces and had feelings that they could divulge. It's just terrific. And for them to connect on that very personal level about the value of what they see adults doing in our society that help other people, you know, miles and miles away. It's great.
The students asked a wide range of questions, from the Super Bowl to indoor plumbing to more serious topics.
There was one in particular that I remember about, we were talking about how the media portrays what's happening in Iraq to our students, and all of them were unanimous, and there was, I don't know, 15 soldiers fighting NCOs, all U.S. American citizens, Ukrainian NCO, and an Iraqi interpreter. And all of them pretty much said that what you hear in America, in Western, I'll say Western media, was not telling the whole story. And they told a number of stories, many, many stories about the outstanding work that United States and our military forces is doing in Iraq. And there was one that I was online, and those of you who want to laugh at me can do that. Later on in this video, they were telling a story about a baby, a little girl, and I almost pictured any one of my students or my daughter at home, and how she actually sat out in the middle of a road in the middle of a convoy. Now, they don't want to stop the convoys because of security reasons, snipers and bombs and so forth. But they had to stop because this little girl had actually put herself out in the middle of a street. And the reason she did that was she didn't want any Americans to die because there was a bomb further up the road. And it just talked about how much the Iraqis really cared, the majority of Iraqis, at least all the Iraqis that they knew and talked to, how much they were pro-American, how much they welcomed freedom, things that, you know, how much they appreciated that we overthrew the Hussein regime. And this small venture was an opportunity for our kids to make a small difference in the world.
One thing that surprised the students the most was how much the troops miss things that most of us take for granted.
The things they miss the most are their kids and their running water and toilets. That they have great internet connection that we could do this for, but they didn't have like flushing toilets and working showers and stuff like that.
Now, when you watch the news at night, are you going to look at this situation a lot different than just getting numbers of how many people died and that sort of thing?
I think so. I think that even right now it hasn't hit me yet, like how big this is and how important this entire thing has been. But it's an amazing once-in-a-lifetime experience, and I think that I'll go home and watch it on the news and be like, oh my gosh, it was me who was actually there, like actually being able to talk to them, so it won't hit me till later.
By the end of the webcast, there was no doubt in the students' mind whether or not the soldiers believed in their mission.
And most of them said they'd rather stay because they'd rather fight now and complete their mission than have us go down there later on down the line.
Women leaders in the Metro West received special recognition in February. Tony Wolf of Marlborough's Employment Options was one of those cited for making a difference.
On February 18th, United Way of Tri-County bestowed its Women of Vision Awards on local leaders. Tony Wolf, Executive Director of Employment Options, a mental health rehabilitation facility here in Marlborough, was one of the honorees.
First of all, I was surprised, of course, like everyone probably gets. And then I was really trying to figure out who did that. And then I was really honored. It's, you know, it's very nice to be acknowledged by people who you work with in community.
Leader of Employment Options for the past 15 years, Wolf is no stranger to recognition. But the United Way's Women of Vision Award was special to her.
I think particularly as a woman leader, I think it was important that other women get acknowledged for their work, and kind of acknowledging and really kind of fostering women leadership is really important. I actually made my 2 kids, who are girls, come to the event, not so much to be proud of their mom, although that didn't hurt, but more importantly to kind of really be acknowledged as women and women leaders.
About 350 people attended the Women of Vision luncheon, which featured best-selling author Anita Diamant as keynote speaker. Also receiving awards were Vera Diaz-Freitas, owner of Vera Jewelers in Framingham, and 8 former presidents of the Jewish Family Services of Metro West. For Marlborough Magazine, I'm Sophie Burke.
The Friends of the Marlborough Public Library just concluded their annual photography show. Marlborough Magazine caught up with 2 of the lucky winners.
For someone who had to be talked into going to his first camera club meeting, Paul Duquette of Northborough has come a long way. 9 years after that first meeting, Duquette is now the first-place prize winner in the color category in the Friends Annual Photo Show, held at the Marlborough Public Library. This year's show, held February 14th through the 20th, had 71 entries in the categories of color and black and white. Duquette's picture, Oregon Falls, was shot at a location north of Mount Hood near the Columbia River.
It was a beautiful waterfall about a mile from the road down this very easy path, and it was just a beautiful spot.
Duquette often finds inspiration for his photography while on trips with his wife Rose, also a photographer.
The shot of Acadia with the rocks is, of course, Acadia National Park, one of our favorite places that my wife and I go to. There's another scene there from Sand Beach, also in Acadia National Park, with the fog and the fence, and that's one of my favorite pictures. The falls scene is a photo my wife took somewheres in Massachusetts, central Massachusetts. I believe it's around Holden.
The Friends Photo Show first-place winner in the black and white category is Paul Smith of Marlborough. Paul has been an avid photographer for the past 12 years. His award-winning photo, Lost in Fog, was taken in Katie's Cove in the Smoky Mountain National Park.
It's a part of the park that most people kind of miss because it's off the beaten path a little bit. It's not near the Gatlinburg side, and it's not in the main road. It's off to the west, and it's an area that is really, really beautiful. It's a place that is really magical if you get the right lighting conditions in the morning.
Like many photographers nowadays, Smith has ventured into the digital realm.
I do probably an equal amount of work between film and digital right now, and I find that there are certain advantages to each. One of the drawbacks of digital is that after you capture the picture, you're spending almost the rest of your life in front of a computer screen getting those images ready to show people. And when I go on these photo trips that I take, it used to be after dinner I could relax a little bit and kind of kick back and maybe watch the news and the weather report, but now you're downloading all your digital images and you're working twice as hard, but it's a nice feeling to know that you actually did get the shot before you leave your location, so it's a good trade-off.
One piece of advice that Smith would give novice photographers is to seek out a local camera club.
Camera clubs are very friendly places where typically people are more than willing to help anybody and everybody who's just getting started in photography. So besides going out and getting the equipment and the film and making your choices digital or whatever, join a camera club. You can get a lot of your questions answered before you make mistakes out there in the market buying equipment.
The Assabet Valley Camera Club, a co-sponsor with the Marlborough Public Library of the Friends Annual Photo Show, meets at the Unitarian Church in Hudson on the first and third Thursdays of every month.
Camera Club is a good place to develop your photographic skills. If you like taking pictures and you think you'd like to improve your photographic skills, it's good to be around people who are also interested in the same thing, and You can pick up pointers. Photography is a lot of fun. What happens is when you're taking photographs of a beautiful scene or a model or an animal or a flower or whatever it is, you get so wrapped up in what you're doing that you lose sight of everything else. You get totally focused on what you're doing and lose track of time, lose track of everything else. And it's a wonderful escape from everyday life.
That's it for this month's issue of Marlborough Magazine. Thank you for joining us. Looking forward to seeing you next month when Dan will hopefully be back with me. Thank you for joining us. I'm Susan Laufer.
Well, as I was going over the far famed Kerry Mountain, I met with Captain Farrell and his money he was counting. I first produced my pistol, then produced my red beer. I said, stand and deliver, for you are a bold deceiver. Mushering, numma-doo, numma-da. Whack fall the daddy-o, whack fall the daddy-o, there's whiskey in the jar. Well, he counted out his money and it made a pretty penny. Put it in me pocket and I brought it home to Jenny. She sighed and she swore that she'd never leave me. The devil took a woman, for you know they can't be easy. Mushering, numma-doo, numma-da. Whack fall the daddy-o, whack fall the daddy-o, there's whiskey in the jar.